The Summit car I'm in right now is a Summit car owned by upwards of 200,000 people. The Mazda RX-7 Raijuo edition is in the car catalogs of 200,000 people, making this thing undeniably, without a question, no shot, no competition, nothing even close. The Raijuo edition is the least rare Summit car in the Crew 2's history. But I'm here today to answer one simple question. Well, two simple questions, actually. What's going on, boys? My name is Sid, and today, the two questions I'm gonna be answering are, what are the new Rarest Summit cars? And two, what are the next updates worth of Summit cars returning? I'll explain. And I will say it's important to know what cars are coming back, the next few updates, and after Motorfest releases, because if you transfer your cars to Motorfest, if you go back and get a new car in the Crew 2, that car will instantly be in your Motorfest garage next time you go on. Say a car you buy from the shop in the Crew 2, if you've transferred your cars, now you own that in Motorfest. And the same goes for Summit cars. If you go back and get a returning Summit car in the Crew 2, you will now own that Summit car in Motorfest. So it's important to know which one of those Summit cars is returning in what order. And that's what I'll explain. I'll explain as soon as you check to see if you're subscribed, because up to 5 subscribers, actually, I guess by the time you're watching this, 3 subscribers, hey, congrats that we hit 80k. Woo. 3, oh, there he is.
Hi YouTube, open mouth smile in back.
Open mouth smile. Up to 3 people are gonna be winning copies of the Crew Motorfest at launch right now, but if we hit 90 and 100,000, there will be up to 5 subscribers who win a copy. So, subscribe, boost the channel, whatever you can do, do it. But one simple question, like I was mentioning, is what is the rarest Summit car in the game? Well, I'll keep it simple by saying it's not a car, I guess. So let me first explain how Rarest Summit Car works, because of course, most Summit cars, well, they're owned by the same amount of people. You know, 3,000, and then eventually 11,000. So obviously, any Summit car that when they made the 11,000 change back in US Speed Tour 1, they made the change where instead of top 3,000 on every platform, it was top 11,000 PlayStation, top 4,000 on PC, top 2,100 on Xbox. Those Summit cars are obviously way less rare. But out of all the cars that were only top 3,000, how do you define which one's rarer? Well, time-based, I suppose. The older the car is, the more likely that those accounts might not be active, and just generally, it would be logistically harder to get them, given that the never-ending curse that is time has progressed further for those specific ones. So, the way Rarest Summit Car is done is it's the oldest Summit car to only have released once. So what is that? Because originally, it was this thing. A bunch of Summit cars had returned, and for a very long time, until November 2nd, 2021, this thing was the rarest Summit car, until it came back finally. Until only 2 months ago, this thing was the rarest Summit car. The only Rally Raid Summit car until the Interception Unit Hummer, the first Rally Raid Summit car, the first one to not be a street car, the only Ubisoft collab, Ghost Recon Summit car, and finally, just before the Motorfest beta, the Edition 1 returned to the Crew 2 in the Summit. And that was the last one-time only ran before now Summit car that is now no longer rare. So, what's the next rare Summit car? Because it's not the famously British TVR Griffith Peppermint edition, which is the next Summit car to return, because the Peppermint's already come back before. It's already a less rare Summit car. It's reran before. Well, interestingly, the next Summit car onwards that has only released once is actually, out of only 3 cars in this game I don't own, it's one of them. And like I was saying, not even a car. The current Rarest Summit vehicle is the KTM RC8R Power Track Edition Touring Car Bike Edition. Why did I say that as its name? Because that's its name. In fact, I forgot that it's 1190. It's even more long-winded of a name. This bike right here is the rarest thing in the Summit right now. This bike is a livery. Look, I've complained about Summit cars being bare bones. The Shirogane is just an exhaust and some material changes. This thing's just a livery you can't remove. And I don't own it, and it's so embarrassing. In fact, you'll see there's a reason I don't own this car. Bike. Look, I use car as a general term. It's like Hoover. Although it is a nice bike, and it's quite cool, the RC8R. It's the rarest vehicle, the Summit vehicle in the game. Is it very hype? No, not really. How many of you guys actually own this thing? Because if you own this thing, chat, you own the current rarest Summit vehicle in the entire game. Me, I have it. Don't own it. I own that thing, Sid. Yeah, a fair few people own it, but I'm not one of them. So, now you know what the rarest Summit vehicle is. Well, is it gonna come back out? Yes, but it's not next. So what is next? So, let me explain how this will work. As you've seen recently, every other Summit car that they've been doing, they used to do one Summit car every single month, but now, in between those Summit cars, they've been doing 2 extra Summit cars, one every other one, and that one is an in-order return of all Summit cars. And this Thunder Wave is the next one to return. In episode 2 of this update, this car will be coming back into the game. It'll be the first one to return. So you'll have, obviously, the Peppermint is the second to last Summit car. Then we have a Proto Lucky one. Then the Thunder Wave will return next episode. By the way, Motorfest will already be out by this point. The Thunder Wave returns, and then comes whatever the new Summit car is for the season, for the episode 2, American Legends. And then, finally, for me, the second Summit car to return will be my baby, the Power Track, the KTM 1190 RC8R Power Track Edition Touring Car Bike Edition. Or as its nickname is, the Power Track. That's the next one to return in the next episode. And after that, not only is it another car that I don't own, the Rubicon, which these cars were back-to-back these next few. 3 Summit cars I don't own, back-to-back. It was just a couple of months that I wasn't able to play the game at all. So I missed them, unfortunately. But next it's the Rubicon. But this is when the Crew Motorfest will ditch the Motor Pass, and we'll just move on to doing updates. Now, I don't even expect them to do new Summit cars. Maybe that's just me being pessimistic. I think they will switch to just doing rerun Summits, right? So every other Summit will be a reran this Summit car Summit. And I feel like the ones that aren't Summit cars will be reran regular Summits. They've been getting us used to doing those as well, with the 110 Summit rerunning, the Ferrari Summit rerunning, the Polar Rush Summit rerunning. I think they're getting us used to Summits in general rerunning, not just Summit car Summits. So now, even though there's 2 updates, 4-month-long updates confirmed for the Crew 2, we don't know what is gonna be the nature of those updates. So this is just gonna be the order. Say they come out the same order, only one a month. These are the next upcoming cars for the next 8 months after November. And the first one is the Rubicon. But the Rubicon's an interesting one, because the Rubicon is also a reward in Motorfest for the main stage. That's just something to look into. The monthly progression system seems to also give you the Rubicon. So I might not even have to play it here, because it's already going to come out as a progression reward in Motorfest. So I imagine more Summit cars will do so. In fact, the Rubicon was locked in Motorfest the same way the Freedom Edition and the Red Fury were. And those 3 cars perfectly line up with the European, JDM, and American first 3 months of the game. So I believe that the Red Fury, the Freedom Edition, and the Rubicon are going to be reward cars for progression in the main stage in Motorfest. So those will be coming back. But what's the next returning Summit car in the Crew 2? Well, it's the final car that I don't own. So yes, after Motorfest, I will finally own, about like a couple months in, maybe. So this will be the second return during the update. So about January-ish, December-ish, I will finally own every car in the Crew again. After going for years only owning all except those 3, finally I will own all of them when the Rift Edition returns. The next Summit car on the list of Summit cars to return. A very fun one. In the rollout update, they're actually getting quite close to the interception unit cars and that kind of update. We're currently in Summer in Hollywood Summit cars with this thing. Next on the list is a familiar face, but it's not that familiar face. It's not the Edition 1 that has already come back. It's instead the deep blue. It's like the gold Bugatti, but this time it's blue. Yeah, that's the one that's gonna come out after. It'll be like the 3rd Summit car to return during the updates. Which, now that I think about it, if they don't do new Summit cars anymore, the updates are gonna have 8 Summit cars returning, which would be a lot, to say the least. But this thing's cool though. It's a big old wide Bugatti, so sure, you know, sure. And if the Crew didn't change the rate of Summit vehicles, so it was still only 4 per 4 months, 1 a month, and they didn't make it 2 a month, then this would be the final one for that final. Then this would be the final one for that first update. That 4-month period from November update. This would be the last one to be in that one. The Freedom Edition. But interestingly, like I said, this one is one I suspect to be coming into the Crew Motorfest as a progression reward. Because it's still exclusive, of course, like all Summit cars are in Motorfest. It's locked in Motorfest as a whole, in the exact same way the Rubicon is. And it matches the American theme of one of the months, where the Rubicon matches the European theme. But then, let me run through what cars would be in the next confirmed update. LA is a fitting place for the next returning Summit car, which is going to be the first of the second update coming out, well, December, January, February, March. This one will be in March as the next returning Summit car. And well, this one's actually on the wrist of wrist? Who am I, Scooby-Doo? Like, what? This one is actually on the list of rare ones, with it only having released once. And it's one of the ones to feature full hydraulic systems. Pretty good. Next on the list is the DeLorean Monster Truck. An interesting one because it's one of the only Summit cars to be customizable. It's also one of the only Summit cars to be the only of its model in the spec, like the F12, like the Hurricane, Peppermint. But it's the only one out of those 3 cars that isn't going to be now buyable in Motorfest. So yeah, this thing remains exclusive, and it reruns as the second Summit car of the second update. Next on the list is a show of how far we've gotten into these Summit reruns. They're getting very close to current day, meaning, well, I say that, this is still oh wow, oh god, I've been doing this for a long time. Oh, this was like this was when I first started doing content properly. But no, this Summit car was like 2 years ago. This was 2020 December. Never mind, chat. Oh my god, nearly 3 years ago. I've been doing content too long, chat. Content for 3 years so far? Oh god. But yes, the first Motor Pass era Summit car is the next one to come out, and that is the 4GT Interception Unit. A Summit police car, the only Summit police car interception unit that isn't an enforcer unit. The other one's a HX. And it's going to be the 3rd one to release in the second update. And then finally, the last vehicle to release in an update that is confirmed currently is back where we started with another gold Mazda, now that I think about it, finishing this video exactly where we started. In a different golden Mazda. The final Summit car to return in that second update is going to be the Mazda RX-8 Gold Edition. And then there might be more updates in the Crew 2, but we don't know. And I definitely really don't like this thing. This thing kind of sucks. But, coincidence there on the video ending the way it began. Pretty cool. But that's going to be about it for the video, as well as about it for the stream. So, catch you boys in the next one. Thank you to popular members, a special thank you to famous members, and an insane thank you to star members, Danimal the Manimal, Grim Pepper, and Void, and an insane top of the top thank you to Icon members, Bad at Games 02. And that's going to be about it from me, boys, in a bit.